Hello, everyone, and welcome to Birdview's weekly workshop. Our weekly workshops take place every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. We cover a different topic each week. You can register for our weekly workshops and our other events through our website under the Events tab, or you can simply use the link that's displayed on the screen right now. You do have the ability to register for multiple workshops at one time, so you don't have to do it every week individually. I encourage you all to join as many of these sessions as possible so that you can learn tips and tricks on how to make the most of Birdview for your projects. With each session, if you have attended before, you will know that we start off with a demo on the topic that we are going to be covering, and then we leave the last 10 minutes to go over any questions that any of you may have. So please feel free to raise your hand virtually or send in your questions through the Q&A section or the chat section in Zoom. And we will get to your questions at the end of the demo session. Our topic for today is custom forms for projects and ticket intake. So we'll start off with learning what a custom form is and what it is used for, and also how you can create one in the system. We'll then learn how to convert a form to a project. And finally, we'll go through a few points that are good to know in order to use custom forms with the greatest efficiency. All right, so I'm just going to jump on over here to my demo account. So firstly, what are custom forms within Birdview? So these are forms that are used to gather information about either a new project that's being requested or submitted, or it is also used for gathering information about a ticket or an issue that clients or external or internal team members might be facing. You can also use these custom forms if you want to gather information about an existing project. So we all know that we don't always have all of the information with regard to a project before it starts, but sometimes we do have to collect information midway through the project or while it's already open. And so you can use these forms if you would like to add, let's say, additional activities to projects or simply gather attachments or other information that you would like to connect to the project while it's ongoing. All right, so let's go ahead and create a custom form from scratch so that you know how to do it. So firstly, custom forms are a separate tab here on the left-hand side of the screen. They are also permission related. So in some cases, if you are a user that has admin rights, you probably have the ability to create and edit custom forms. But in some cases, if you are a user or a collaborator within the system, you might only have access to submit information through a custom form. So that is something that can be set in the access levels within the settings of the system. So if you click on custom forms, for one, you will be able to see all of the custom forms that have been created within the system. And you have the ability to edit the ones that are already created, again, if you have the permissions. But let's start off with creating a form from scratch. So there are two ways to do this. One is by simply clicking on the Add Custom Form option here at the top, which I will do in a couple of minutes, so that we can create one from absolutely scratch, not editing anything existing. But if you would like to duplicate an existing form, you have the ability to do that as well. You simply edit any of the existing forms, and then you have the duplicate this form option, which will allow you to duplicate it, and then you can make specific changes to it. That works really well if your forms kind of follow a similar process, but you do need to change a few things here and there. All right, so let's create a form from scratch right here. I'm going to click on this Add Custom Form option. I do have the ability to specify the name of this form. So what we're going to do is create a form for someone to submit a marketing project request. All right, so let's say this is new marketing project. And we can specify the description as well. So fill this form to submit a request for a new marketing project. All right. Now what we want to go ahead and do is design our form. So if I click on this add field or label, it enables me to look at a list of all of the options that we have in the system. So for example, you have an input, which is basically just a field where you can specify numbers, letters, special characters. It's not really specific, but you have the ability to use that. You can even use a text area, which is basically a little larger section where you can maybe add a description for the project that you are requesting. File attachments, that's pretty straightforward. You have the ability to attach files to submit for this project. Dates can be specified as start dates or end dates or milestone dates or things like that. You also have list of options, a drop down to select a single option, or you have a radio button here as well. So let's start with just an input, and we're going to give this input a name. So let's say this is going to be the project name. You also have the ability to make a field mandatory. In this case, I'm going to do that because we won't be able to create the project without having the name. And you hit apply. All right, so we have created one. Let's create a few more. Let's add a text area where we will call it the project description. And we hit apply. Let's also add that file attachment so they can create, they can add files and documents to this as well. And let's add some start dates and end dates. So we have start date. I'm going to make this a mandatory field as well, because we need to know when they would like to start the project. Let's add an end date, and we'll leave that blank because projects could go up and down, and so we don't always have an accurate end date in the beginning. Let's also add a list of options. So if I click on list of options, I'm going to, firstly, for this, I'm going to add my own options. So let's say this is the marketing project code. And let's specify the options we want to add. So let's say this is code A, we have code B and code C and B. Right, so you can create your own options. Again, you can specify if this is mandatory or not, but you can also go a step further and add a custom field that you might have already created in the system. So let's use the drop-down option right here. This time I'm going to pick a custom field that I've already created in the system. When I click on that, it's simply going to give me a drop-down where I select the custom field. So client type is the custom field that I'm selecting. And when I do that, and I hover over here, I can see that list of options that is being pulled directly from the custom field that I've created under company settings. All right, so you have the option to do that. You don't have to go ahead and manually do it like this. Right, let's do another one where we'll add a radio button, and let's use another custom field. And this time let's look at zone. When I click zone, I'm going to see all of the options automatically appear here within the field itself. All right, so now that I've gone ahead and created my custom form, what I'd like to do is look at a preview of what it's going to look like once I save the changes. All right, so when I click on preview, I'm going to see a prototype of exactly what that form is going to look like. So I have my name here, I have the description that I filled out, and I have the different fields. So this is what anyone that's going to be filling this form, this is what they're going to see when they click on the link. All right, and then I'm going to close this preview. Let's go ahead and save these changes. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that we have two options here. We have a draft option and we have an active option. Right now, we have the draft option that has been selected. So if I keep it in draft option, it means that I can make changes to this form, but nobody can add records to it because it's not live. But if I convert it to an active form, it's automatically going to be live, and anyone that has access to it is going to be able to fill it out. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that whenever you make a change to the form, you do have to save the changes, otherwise they will not be in effect. All right. Now, here on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, there are a few options for you to select from. One is, once you've created the form, how is it that you are going to give access to this form to the people that are going to be filling it out? One good thing to keep in mind is that these forms can be accessed not just by users of Birdview, so not just by your internal team members, but also by external team members, as well as clients that may not have access to Birdview at all. All right. And the reason for this feature is so that you can enable your clients to send in requests without maybe flooding your email with these requests. It's just an easier, more streamlined way to gather information about the number of projects that are being requested by your clients. So where you have permissions right here, if you click on allow anonymous users to add records, it basically is saying that any non-Birdview user can submit records as well. So if I select this option, I have two options right here. I can use the code to embed it directly into my website, or I can basically select this link and I can share this link via email with clients that are not part of the organization or external team members that are not users of Birdview directly as well. All right. I also have the ability to allow any guest users to access this form directly within their accounts. You can also send notifications for these custom forms. So if someone has submitted a custom form, you can send notifications to specific team members so that they will know that forms have been submitted. You then have conversion rules here on the right-hand side, and this is very important because once someone hits the submit button on a custom form, you definitely want to know where this information is going. So how is it going to be converted to a project? How am I going to see it within the activity center? And how can I make sure that it is coming into the activity center in the right way without any errors? So when you have team members submitting these forms, you can convert them either into a project or a task within a project or an issue that's perfect for generating tickets, or maybe it's a request for a brand new project. So you have these four options within the system. Since this is going to be a new project, marketing project, let's open up the project option right here. So I have the ability to select a template that I would like this project to be converted to, so that when it is converted, it directly gets converted to that project using that specific template. So in this case, let's use the design project 2. That is the template I want to use. I can also select the portfolio that I want to add it to directly. So let's select marketing. The project name, which is a field that's already here in the form. Where would I like this information to appear? So I would like it to be to show up as project name in the system. The description, I would like to append to project description, which is already selected. All of the files, I would like them to be under the file attachments. Start date of this project, I would like to actually append it to the start date within the system, end date within the system. Marketing project code. We don't have a field that's already been created for this, a custom field. So let's keep it to appear in the project description. And then you have client type and zone, which, if you remember, we created from custom fields. And so we can append this information to the existing custom field that we have right here. All right. So once again, I'm going to save this. You can also look at this for the task, issue, or request and make the same selection. So if you were adding information about, adding information to an existing project, you'd basically append all of this information to the fields within the task versus just the project. So it works the same way. All right, so now that we've created the form, let's look at submitting and converting the form. So let's go ahead and add a new record. Let's assume that we've shared a link with someone and they have clicked on the link and now they're going to be submitting this project. So let's give it a name. Let's say this is marketing project part 1. Let's describe it. I will not be attaching a file right now. Let's give this a start date of next week and end date 5 days later. Let's select a project code. So I can multi-select this option. Client type, this is single selection. So I can only select one at a time. And then I have zone, which is also a single selection. So let's just select a single zone. And then I hit submit. Now, when someone has submitted a custom form, you can access all of your submitted custom forms by simply clicking on this option right here, which is going to show you the number of forms that have been submitted. So in this case, we have 4, here we have 2, and here we have 1. So let's select this one that we just submitted. You will see a list of them one by one. And now you have the ability to decide what you want to do with this information. So firstly, if I click on this submission, I can review all of the answers that were submitted. And then based on those answers, I can decide what I want to do with it right here. So I can convert to either a project, a task, an issue, or a request. Let's convert this one to a project. And then it's going to show me the preset selections we made when we created the form, but I also have the ability to edit it here as well. So we're going to be creating it for design project 2. That's the template we're using. But if I wanted to change that to, let's say, marketing project, I have the ability to do that too. Once I'm done making all of the selections, I simply hit convert to project. And this project is now going to appear automatically in the activity center. Because we used a template, you're going to see all of the tasks and subtasks within this template already created. You will also see the other elements of the template, like the users, the assignees that have been added, the dependencies, the estimated hours, all of those pieces of information are going to automatically be created. And based on the selections or the answers that were filled out during the form, you're going to see all of that information appear here. So we appended project description and marketing project code to the description of the project. And so that's where you see it. We did pick the portfolio, which appears right here. We had client type as one of the custom fields. And so that one has appeared here too. We also had zone, which has also appeared here. You can make changes to this right here. So if you want to switch the zone, or if you want to switch the client type, you do have the options to do that right here as well. All right, so that's how easy it is for you to convert a project that has been submitted. All right, now there are a few things for custom forms that are good to know. I'm just going to jump back here to the custom form option. One is that when you go ahead and let's click on edit form, right here at the bottom, you have the ability to specify who can access the form. So I created this form, and so I have the ability to do everything. with regard to this form. I can manage this form. I can add, view, or edit the records that are being added. And I will also receive notifications when a new record is submitted. However, if I'm looking at giving other team members or everyone else access, I can restrict their access. In this case, they will only be able to add records. But if I want them to be able to come in and manage this custom form, I can allow them to do that. I can also have them receive notifications when someone edits this form. Or I can add additional team members that are going to be able to add permissions as well. So if I click on add users or teams, I can simply select the team member, let's say Brenda Valens right here. And I can select the permissions that I am giving Brenda to be able to make changes to this form. All right, so again, permission related, you can edit or specify who can access the form. The second thing that's good to know is that you can also auto-convert all submissions. So instead of you having to jump into custom forms, go into all of the submissions and manually convert them to projects or tasks or issues or requests, if you add this auto-convert all submissions, when someone hits submit on a form, it's automatically going to be created as either a project, task, issue, or request right here. You can make that selection. And you can also select who is going to be assigned to it. So this works very well when it comes to, let's say, being able to submit and track tickets within the system, because you don't have to waste any time reviewing the information and manually converting it. It's automatically going to happen, and it's automatically going to be submitted to the support team to be able to work on. So that's the second thing to keep in mind. The third thing is that you also have the ability to be able to create a report of all of the submitted forms. So for example, if I click right here, I'm able to see that 4 submissions were made. And if I need to share this with the rest of the team or submit it to a manager, I can simply export to CSV right here. And it's going to show me this exported option right here. So this is what it's going to look like. It basically takes a list of all of the fields that were created and all of the submissions to that field, and it gives you a report like this. So this is great for you to be able to go ahead and share with the rest of the team as well. All right, so that's what we have in terms of custom forms, how to create and how to convert them. I see that we already have one question. So this question is from Isai Delarka. So what is the reason or use for a client type? Please provide a quick explanation. So client type, Isai, was just one of the custom fields that were created in the system. It is not a native field. So it probably won't show up within your account, but generally speaking, if you had certain levels of customers or let's say a retainer option, then you could have a client type that says retainer 1, retainer 2, that kind of thing. But the client type field that I used for this custom form was a custom field that was created. So you won't see it in your account. Class's question is the export will throw away any file attachments. You will probably see the file attachment name. And we also have Mishna that's on the call right now. Mishna, do you have any idea if you can also export the file attachments?
Currently, I don't think we have the capability to export the attachments.
What you would do in this case, class, is if you were to, your file attachments would show up in the activity center. So let's look at, let's say right here. they're going to show up here in files. So you have your collaboration center right here, and you have the attach file option. So that file is going to show up here. You can always export it from here. It's probably not going to export directly in the export function. All right, do we have any other questions? All right, so our topic for next week will be Birdview's financial module. So we'll go over the different areas of the project where you can track project financials and the most effective ways for you to be able to calculate those financials. And on the 1st of August, our topic will be managing settings within Birdview. So we'll go through the different settings and what they mean and how best to make your selections in order to efficiently view everything that you need to within Birdview. All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. I hope that this session was helpful. Your suggestions are always welcome. So if you do have any recommendations for topics that you would like us to cover in the future, please do send in your responses to our success email. The address is on the screen right now. Once again, if you have any questions related to today's session that you haven't asked or we haven't answered, please feel free to also send in those questions through the success email, and we will be sure to respond to you. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.